Roast chicken steam floated around the cramped apartment, thick and fragrant, weaving through the cracks in the linoleum and the fraying blue curtains. Everyone sat hunched around the dinged-up table, elbows close, shoulders pressed. The kitchen glowed yellow and tired, with the paint around the windows flecked and brittle, as if time had perched there and chipped away piece by piece. My mother's smile hovered, forced and apologetic, as she filled plates. My father coughed, a low sound, then set his fork down and fixed me with that stare that always landed cold and absolute. So, he tapped the prongs on his plate like a signal. Your cousin Jorge starts in the city office next week. He's your age, got a proper job. He didn't raise his voice, but everything about it was sharp. And you, he paused, raising an eyebrow in front of my little sister Susie and Abulita and everyone, because this was drama they all needed to see. You think you're the next whatever, taking pictures like a hobbyist kid. I felt embarrassment crawl up my chest. I glanced at the viney cracks in the wall, breathing through my nose, trying to look bored, casual. Papa, I'm not, I started, but he waved a hand, dismissing. My Uncle Archero leaned back in his chair, filling his lungs so you could see the outline of the cheap tank top under his shirt. Nah, let the kid have his moment. He wants to be Ansel Adams but will wind up doing wedding photos in Flushing. That's nice work, no. Susie giggled, shoving some rice into her mouth. I shrank a bit. It isn't like that, I said, a bit too soft. But what is it then? My Aunt Marable finally spoke. You run around the subways, take pictures of puddles and trash and call it art. Your father works, he breaks his back, you want to take snapshots. She crossed herself like this was a curse. I clenched my fork. My camera sat in my backpack, propped against the leg of my chair, silent and protective. They never got it, that click, that whisper focus, the way light would bend and frame someone's heartbreak or joy into something you could show the world. They saw nothing but trivia, wasted hours, and above all shame for my parents. That I had not chosen something sensible, that I floated in a dream they called ridiculous or childish. Mijo, my mother said, voice soft, there is no shame in a stable job. City work or even at Best Buy, you're smart, you're good with people. Photography, it's more a passion, no. I went silent, letting the rotisserie chicken taste like cardboard as it turned over in my mouth. My father folded his hands, his voice dropping. We never had these choices. Your grandfather picked oranges until the skin peeled off his hands. I cleaned offices and spat on my knees. If you looked, really looked, you'd see how much we did to give you a real life, so don't throw it away chasing, what pictures? He shook his head, and as he did, several nods around the table echoed the motion. No one was outright cruel. Their disbelief, their laughter, their jabs, these were familiar, almost loving in some inverted way. They thought they were bringing me to reality. Still, humiliation burned hot and raw, especially as the spotlight lingered on me, the one who wanted to waste everything for photographs. I nodded, folded into myself, and cleaned the rest of my plate, knowing that for them, dreams were debts. For me, they were air. That night, lying on the creaking couch in my room with the power flickering, I scrolled through shots on my battered camera. The neighbor's kid, sunlight in his wild curls as he kicked a battered soccer ball down the cracked hallway. My mother, graying hair pinned in a hasty knot, caught mid-laugh near the sink. The streets of Jackson Heights, a city's worth of stories in every shadow and flare of neon. Lovers arguing in Spanish by the newsstand, an old woman singing under the 7 train, rain hitting puddles shaped by potholes. For a moment, I imagined myself just quitting, shelving the camera, drafting resumes for shop assistant or insurance clerk, something safe, something proper. But when I shut my eyes, those moments pressed against my skull, screaming to be seen. I kept shooting. Years blurred past with city rhythm, subways, harsh winters, landlords who raised rent and didn't fix the heating. I worked nights at a deli slicing pastrami for construction workers, then shot all day, low on sleep and caffeine. I entered endless contests, sent portfolios to magazines that never wrote back. I got used to the hollow pop of rejection, the emails that opened with "unfortunately." I'd sleep with my phone pressed to my chest, dreaming of headlines or gallery shows, always waking to a blank screen. I carried a notebook every time family called or my uncle passed a beefy hand over my shoulder and muttered, "Still no real job, huh?" I'd etch the feeling in the margins. Humiliation, frustration, desperation, they became part of me. I learned patience. I learned to coat every day in hope, even when it rotted, even when I wondered if everyone was right. Then one summer afternoon, tired after a shift, I wandered through Flushing Meadows Park with my little second-hand Canon. I spotted a father and his daughter, their shadows long and tight together, backs to the afternoon glare. He was fixing her bike chain, grease smearing his fingers and her cheek, both of them laughing. I crouched, fighting for a clean angle between the trees and the dusty soccer pitch, and snapped a handful of frames. Later, looking at the shots, I caught my breath. There was something electric about how the girl's laugh nearly burst off the print, how the father's hope clung stubbornly to his smile. I sent the best image on a whim to a local photojournalism contest, and then, as always, forgot about it. One grey morning, when I was behind the deli counter, my phone buzzed so many times I thought it was spam. My sister Susie's name flashed across the screen, declined, worked, ignored. Then the contest organizer called. I didn't answer, I couldn't. I was slicing cheddar and thinking about how bad my hands stank. But the next morning I finally checked my email. My photo had won the grand prize published in New York Faces, $2,000 cash and a gallery show. I stared at the screen so long the deli manager hassled me for slacking off. I printed the email and folded it into my wallet. For weeks I didn't show anyone. I kept shooting, kept submitting. That win spun into chance work. A magazine asked for a series on subway performers. I hustled freelance gigs, learned to love the silence after sending out pitch after pitch. I shot protests and parades and the dark pools of anonymity in the city's late-night streets. Every little win was a drop in a giant, empty bucket, but soon enough the bucket started to fill. I left the deli. My pictures showed up in city weeklies, then Metro Art Monthly called, then the first check big enough to make a difference. The patience, the humiliation, they forced me sharp, focused. I waited, watched, learned to sink inside a moment and see things most people missed. That became the core of my work. My family didn't understand, even as I moved out, even when the photographs started appearing online, sometimes with my name. To them it was still noise, a distraction that one day surely I would grow out of. 4 years and 3 months after that chicken dinner, I got a call from Maura Lev, the head curator at the Harlem Gallery for Contemporary Arts. "We're doing a show," she said. "Urban Lenses, New York now. We want 10 of your shots. Yours will be on the cover of the catalogue, and you'll open the night." I wrote down the date, November 12, 2023. I let the phone buzz in my hands for a minute after hanging up. The number was so large, the recognition so overdue, I felt nothing at first. Then finally I allowed myself to feel proud. The gallery sent posters. An old friend texted, "You saw you're on the Instagram page for the gallery, right?" Still in the apartment my parents rented, the conversation clung to chores and shopping and the weather as usual. No mention of art, of the gallery, of my name in print, until I called my mother late one Sunday. "I want you to come to something," I said, voice feeling unfamiliar in my throat. She paused, suspicious. "Not another protest?" "No," I said, "it's important, just you all come, please." Maybe it was my tone, maybe she heard the edge of nostalgia, the ache to show them who I'd become, but she agreed. "We'll be there." "Your father too." I sat on my bed for a long time after that, holding my breath, camera in my lap. The night of the show came wrapped in cold, heavy rains. Cars hissed past the rows of uptown brownstones, headlights blinking through puddles. The gallery pulsed with heat, a crowd pressed into every corner, the sharp scent of white wine, perfume, damp umbrellas. Voices bounced off high ceilings, laughter jagged as glass. I stood by the entrance in a shirt I'd borrowed from my roommate. My hands felt raw, clammy. People moved from photograph to photograph, reading the little cards, nodding, tilting their heads. My photos filled nearly a full wall. The father and daughter from Queens, a Bengali couple threading hands over styrofoam cups in Jackson Heights, a graffiti-washed subway at midnight, the profile of my mother unmistakable, her eyes bright even in monochrome. I'd chosen pictures that lived in the city's soft underbelly, the stories no one wanted but everyone carried. I wanted the world to love these people the way I did, to see them, finally, as beautiful and necessary. Then I saw my family come in, blinking, hunched against the cold. Susie bounced, her curly hair wild. My mother's hands were splayed, nervous, her red scarf limp. My father in his blue jacket looked smaller than I remembered. Behind them, the aunts and uncles clustered, whispering, dodging puddles. When they caught my eye, I forced a smile and went to them. My mother kissed my cheek, awkward, her eyes wide. My father grunted, a cross between pride and confusion. "Is this," he asked, gesturing at the room, "all for you?" "Not just me, but those are mine." I pointed to the wall. They walked slowly, gathering at the photos. Strangers stopped, reading my name, whispering admiration over this or that shot. At the far end, a couple argued in front of my print, heated, passionate, as if the photo contained something personal for them. Uncle Archero stopped and stared at the picture of the father and daughter, the winning one. He called my father over. "Isn't that Flushing Meadows?" My father squinted. "That's our park," he said. "It's beautiful." Aunt Marable pressed her hand to her mouth. Other guests pointed. I heard them speak my name and phrases like evocative and honest, and "this one sold already, did you see?" fluttered through the room. As the crowd uncorked another round of wine and the curator read my bio to applause, my mother gripped my shoulder. Her eyes were brimming. When the applause faded, my father turned to me. There was no condescension, no joke, no warning about debts or wasted days. He simply said low, almost ashamed, "You did it." For a second, I wanted to cry, to let the humiliation of years sink away, but I only managed a nervous laugh, cheeks burning. Patience had turned into this, proof you could touch, a gallery full of strangers and family alike seeing what I saw, what I'd always seen. My photos no longer felt like secrets. They were real, respected, out in the light. My uncle clapped me on the back, his voice hoarse. "Next time, let me know so I can dress up, eh?" Susie dragged her boyfriend around the gallery by the hand. "My brother shot these, all of them," she shrieked, loud enough for strangers to turn. I watched my father standing in front of the black and white portrait of my mother, then shifting to the shot of the subway at night. He didn't speak. He only stared, lips pressed tight, eyes shining. In that moment, he wasn't the skeptic, or the back-breaking immigrant father, or the man handing me disappointment at a dinner table. He was just my father, feeling proud, understanding, at last, the dream he'd once mocked. When the night wore on and the gallery emptied, I left with my family. We stepped out into the rain. My mother clung to my arm. My father handed me his umbrella, a small smile on his face. We rode the subway together, the car rattling through the city I'd spent years capturing in flashes and shadows. My father cleared his throat. "If you ever do a show with pictures of the big buildings, the real city, let me know. I want to be the one to brag next time." We laughed. Susie leaned her head on my shoulder, humming softly. I stared out the window, neon and shadow flickering past. I had chased my dream to the edge. I'd been mocked, shrugged off, humiliated, but I'd survived enough to come home bearing proof, not for trophies' sake, but to show them what I'd seen all along. That night I realized it was never about just the dream. It was about coming back, showing the skeptical ones the city through my eyes, and letting us all finally inhabit the same world.